Many people who watch this channel, you all know that I love a good old-fashioned movie. Of course you do. We all do, don't we? The black and whites, those TV channels that re-show films that we've seen time and time and time again, but they're still good, aren't they? Better than many things that you see on TV today. But this particular venue that you're seeing here behind me has a very special place with regards to someone who really was an amazing superstar for so many decades. For me, he first popped onto the scene playing Spats Columbo in the Billy Wilder 1959 classic Some Like It Hot. But for many others, he is known simply as George Raft. Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London, and this place here, the Colony Club, really does have an amazing association with the aforementioned Mr. Raft. Now, for many of us, of course, we know him as a gangster type sort of role. I didn't realise this until talking to a lot of people that knew him. In particular, I was lucky enough, as many people may know, to interview many of the great stars of the era, including the brilliant Tony Curtis, who appeared with him in Some Like It Hot. Tony told me that George was completely the different character to the character that he played on screen. He said he was debonair, always smelt beautiful, wonderful aftershave, wasn't though very how can we put this kindly, he couldn't read many scripts, hence the reason he went down the gangster route, because there were short things to memorise. So bigger scripts, longer things, apparently he couldn't do. Such a shame. Started life out as a boxer, of course came be a sort of debonair actor, stroke singer, and then really moved into the world of acting, all thanks to the major studios like RKO, Fox, Warner Brothers, and over here in the United Kingdom, he came over to make a movie in 1952 called Escape Route. Bit of a ladies' man, George, as well. He went to the infamous Windmill Theatre, met quite a few ladies there, shall we say. But of course it was this club in the sort of middle 60s that put George's name back on track. Let me explain the reasons why. Because that as George's career was slightly on the wane, he wanted to invest, get his name back on top. And this particular venue, the Colony Club, apparently had something to do, yes, with the mob. Oh, really? Apparently it was partly owned by the Mayor Lenski group. People will know all about that, of course. Mayor Lenski, very famous part of the mob scene in the 1930s, 20s, 40s, all that sort of stuff. Amazing, isn't it, when you think how mobsters are glamorized and people want to know about them. We had the very same over here, the Cray twins. Now, what's interesting about this particular story is part of the reason why they wanted to open this club was because they were seeing exactly the colossal amounts of money and, shall we say, influence that the Cray twins had over here in the United Kingdom. Hence the reason, the Colony Club. But apparently they needed a big name to front it, because the Crays were very famous. They'd mixed with all the showbiz elite, and of course it was a brand. Nothing new, is it? So they decided to get some input from a movie gangster, no less, George Raft. He was more than happy to have his name in huge illuminated letters above the door. Things went wrong very quickly though, because George went on holiday back to Hollywood, and interestingly, I found this fabulous really, the Home Secretary of the day, Roy Jenkins, felt that in fact it could have been a place of vice and gambling. No, really? So George apparently was effectively then banned from returning back to the United Kingdom for some time. However, George's brand really did keep moving on and on. Let me explain. In June 1952, George Raft was flown from London to Glasgow to open a brand new branch of Connell's, the menswear store frequented by many stars of stage and screen when they were appearing in the city, no doubt at the famous Empire Theatre. Cesar Romero, singer Billy Eckstine, Donald O'Connor, Abbott and Costello were all known to have popped into the Union Street tailor's shop. This time round, it was the turn of George Raft, and the arrival really was why the crowds were out in force. He was such a big star. Now what's interesting is apparently when he turned up, he was there literally about an hour, and he opened the store by simply cutting the ribbon, posing for a few pictures, but apparently mounted police and foot police had to be called because so many fans were trying to get into the store or indeed simply get very close to Mr. Raft. He picked up a hefty fee alongside 12 suits which were all handmade and crafted exclusively for him. You see, influencers were way back in time, long before you and me. For George's association with the colony was short-lived, but it did put his name back on the map, and he got other movies, including more here in the United Kingdom, and of course tried to move into the world of television very successfully again. We lost George Raft in 1980, but what a star, what a guy, and even today, although he's largely forgotten by the younger crowd, when you see the name George Raft pop up on your TV screen, you truly know you're in for a treat. Next time you're in London and you fancy a sort of remembrance of what it must have been like to be part of George Raft's world, do pop in to the wonderful Colony Club. It's literally around the corner from London's Park Lane Hilton. And as I say, even today when you pop in and speak to the staff, they've no idea who George Raft is, yet truly he started it all. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.